Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Joe. Welcome to SNES's Life Recap 92. Today we're covering Radical Rex, R-Type 3, Shien's Revenge, which was a weird one, Robotrek, and finally Snow White, and Happily Ever After. Let's start with Radical Rex. I played this first because I was like, man, Radical Rex seems like an interesting game, and it really was. I liked the sprite work. Generally, the backgrounds were okay. You know, this particular level's pretty dark here. I like brighter, more colorful games. You know, take advantage of the fact that the SNES had a lot of colors available to it. The things I didn't care for in this game, the jumping and momentum were kind of iffy. I didn't particularly care for them. I like the special powers. There were definitely some difficulties navigating the levels, to say. Like, it didn't always make it clear where you were supposed to go, what you were supposed to do. It was a cute game. It played okay. I didn't mind it. I think it just kind of, if I was going to recommend platformers, you know, this just wouldn't be it. When you look at this game, it makes me feel, it harkens back to Joe and Mac. And I think Joe and Mac was just a funner game, so I would recommend it over Radical Rex. So I'm going to give Radical Rex a thumbs down. It was different, it was interesting, it was okay, but ultimately not the platformer I would be going to. Next up, R-Type 3. I mean, what is there to say but R-Type? I don't know how many R-Types there are at this stage. There's got to be 20 of them would be my guess, but R-Type is a pretty game. It looks good. It has good music. It has crazy weapon choices and things. I think it was Jeremy is what Joey named the little satellite unit that you get to attach to. You know, this continues the thing where you can throw the satellite forward and then swing around and attach to your back so you're shooting backwards. Interesting levels, interesting stuff. Looked good, took advantage of, like I just said, against Radical Rex, took advantage of all these different bright colors, those neon reds and blues on the circle lasers there. You know, I enjoyed it. It's a fun game to blow an hour on, and, you know, there's a lot of R-Types you could find. There's Super R-Type that we played a long time ago on Super Nintendo when Joey still lived at home. And, you know, we gave that one a thumbs up too. We enjoyed that. This one, I got, I think, 5 or 6 levels in, and there was a stage where you get to the boss, you kill the boss, pardon me, and then you have to fly through the stage backwards, and that's the point at which I was done for the night. Not only because it frustrated the shit out of me, but also because it was just time for me to be done for the night. So I gave it a thumbs up because it is a good shoot 'em up. I think it is an enjoyable game. You know, go out there, give it a try. I'm sure it's plenty cheap. Most of the R-Type games were extremely popular. Give it a look up. Sure, there might be other shoot-'em-ups that, you know, are good. I have favorite shoot-'em-ups. This is not one of them, but it's a solid one. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a play. Next up, Shien's Revenge. This was a really interesting game. So this is, I mean, it's built very much like a shooter game, like Super Scope, Menacer, Zapper, whatever, you know. You have Chinese stars and a reticle on screen that you're shooting at things. The graphics are very similar to, the graphics and colors feel very similar to, God, what was the name of the game? Falcon's Revenge and Battle Clash. So it felt a lot like that. But this game you can use a controller or you can use a mouse. And the mouse is a big deal because it gives you that freedom of moving around the screen. But you have this dagger that you can see your guys swinging around. And you can use it to block projectiles. And you can swing it to slice dudes, which you have to when they're like really close up to you. You can also use it to block their attacks. The problem is, you know, you're trying to aim it at a small thing on a screen flying towards you. It's very difficult. I ended up giving this game a thumbs up. Less because of how good it was, and more because of how interesting it was. The levels were just kind of varied and wild. The enemy types were very interesting. I found the whole dagger mechanic very neat. The Chinese stars a little less so. You do have like a super screen clear power as a scroll. I forgot about that constantly until like right at the end of the game when I was kind of done. It's interesting. It's definitely worth a look. It was one, I think it was like 120 loose. It's not worth buying. But it was a very interesting game. I gave it a thumbs up. Give this game a look. It was so different than any of the other games I played that were kind of in that kind of shooting genre, a la Super Scope style game. Definitely neat. Thumbs up. Next up, Robotrek. This is JRPG. We all know I'm going to give it a thumbs down, but I mean, it is what it is. The graphics and sprites are very cutesy. The colorful palettes are nice. The music was okay. The battle music got on your nerves real fast. My biggest issue with JRPGs is the turn-based mechanics and how long the games take because of the need to grind and level and then take a step and you're in a random battle, take a step and you're in a random battle. So this game gets rid of the whole take a step and you're in a random battle. It gives you the ability to move around the screen and avoid enemies if you want to avoid them. But there is definitely a section where you hit it and you're like, oh, my attack, which was killing everything on the screen before, is no longer killing anything. And so clearly there's that grind spot, you know, where it's like, sorry, you're going to have to work a lot harder to kill these things. Go backwards and just murder simple things for a little while until you get to the level you need to kill these things. The really interesting concept from Robotrek is you're an inventor, and so you build the robots that comprise your party. And I think you can have up to like 3. And you get 40 points that you can divide between like their health, their attack, their defense, and their timing. So this is a time-based, turn-based RPG, you know. So if your time's real low, they're going to hit you multiple times before it gets back to your turn. You can hit them. But on the other hand, you can set your time real high, so you get to swing a lot. But, you know, for that, you're going to suffer probably in defense and attack and health. It's a real interesting idea. Also, you can program different special attacks. So you have each robot can have special programs. Like one can have a jump and slash attack, or one was a clear all screen like attack. It didn't actually clear, well, it did clear a lot of the screen a lot of the time, but it was like a flash bomb basically. And you can attach guns and swords and like bomb dispensers to your robots. It was really neat and it was really interesting. But my problem with JRPGs taking forever, this actually made that worse because you're like, oh, I want to build and customize and add things. And then you can take weapons and combine them into better weapons. And my God, it's just too much. It really, really is. I think if you're a JRPG fan, this game is probably worth playing. I really kind of dug the idea and the concept of it. But I'm still going to give it a thumbs down. Because unless you're a JRPG fan, you're probably not going to push through. You know? So there's an overworld travel map. And it's got little dots on it. And I think I got to like the 5th dot, which is like the caves. And the dot right before it, I was like, hey, do my flashbang. Everybody dies. Flashbang. Everybody dies. Walked into the cave. Flashbang. Everything takes like 1 hit point of damage. I shoot it with a gun. 1 hit point of damage. I hit it with a sword. It did like 7 or 8. But I'm like, all right, so 2 of my attacks that keep me from getting killed in hand-to-hand combat suddenly don't do damage anymore, so you have to go level up. And it's just really annoying, and I fucking hate it when games do that. It's a personal thing. It's what it is. Thumbs down Robotrek. Unless you're a JRPG fan, thumbs up, go play that shit. Because it's interesting. Final up, Snow White in Happily Ever After. Now you can see I'm not playing as Snow White. This is not a Disney game. So my assumption is that this was based off of the original lengthy... Wow, my brain shut off. Fairy tale. Because the cover art, at least of Snow White, and I didn't play as Snow White while I played this at all, but the cover art has Snow White with like waist-length hair, and I know Disney shorts her hair. So interesting. You're the Shadow Man in this one. The evil queen is dead. It's her brother that's trying to kill you, I guess. This is a very bog standard platformer. You know, you walk around, you have to collect coins to actually exit the level. When you get to the exit, however, if you just stop moving and you stand still, a finger will point the direction you need to go. It was a very colorful game. There's lots of things to collect for points and health and coins and lots of stuff. It was not the worst platformer I've ever played, but it was far from the best platformer I ever played. So it had a momentum issue where like once you started running and you stopped, you like slid, and so it just constantly felt like you were on ice because it wants you to move fast, but then you slide off of things and it just pisses you off. There was a fair bit of what I felt like wasn't blind jumping, but was really close to blind jumping. There would be platforms moving left and right, and they'd be just under you. And if you held down or the RL buttons, like it would scooch the screen over so you could see better, but it still just felt kind of wrong. You had like pixel perfect platform too. Like here I'm jumping on all these little clouds, and boy, it was just felt like it was really easy to miss them. So not an awful game, but it's not one I would seek out. Go play something better. Mario World, Joe and Mac, something like that. They're just better games out there. So that's it. That's these 5 games. I appreciate you guys sticking with us. We're on recap 92, coming into the 93rd set of 5 games. Jesus, so many games. But we're getting there. We are getting there. We're in the 400s, right? I mean, we're gonna finish the Super Nintendo library eventually. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. We'll see you guys in the next recap in a couple of weeks. Have a good one.